Bayaz digs his heels in. They are not letting this round go, but it's still Leo alive.
It's not great for him. He has to get out now off the tap.
But here we go. Choices, choices. What do you do? Bayaz now. Halfway achieved. Who's going to diff who here? Bayaz down a half, and he's been put to bed.
Fnatic are back. Kind of. They easily dispatched of Gentlemates yesterday, winning 13-6 and 13-4 on Breeze and Lotus. And there was some good stuff.
Like a clean series win, but at least draw some blood. Maybe instill some sort of confidence.
Yeah, I think that's the key element, isn't it? Just we're looking at what takeaways we're seeing here. I know a lot of people are looking for, one, Derke to look comfortable on Yoru, to look confident on this role. And beyond that, see Fnatic kind of playing up to expectation. On the other side, can Gentlemates be disruptive? So far, Derke's being played in fantastically. What an opportunity to shine. 3 back-to-back, that's confidence. And that was very well played. Finding just a space in the wall to play from. And the spike's left in no man's land, sadly for Logan. It's not looking likely. And no.
Okay, so it started off very well for Fnatic as their first idea worked pretty well. Obviously, this idea basically just revolves around this little wall here and Derke hiding behind it, as we can see. But there's little details in here that I like. One is that Derke has 2 gate crashes that he could use here, right? So even if the timing is a little off here, you know, where maybe Gentlemates threaten him and, you know, he sends out the first TP, but it expires or whatever, he then has bought a second one so that he can use it again, right? So well, clearly we've got like some idea of what's going to go on in this round. He doesn't actually use the TP. See, he's waiting basically for Gentlemates here to, you know, kind of make a move to kind of, you know, show themselves. You see, until the Viper wall goes down, he doesn't actually use it to make sure that it's not going to run out, to make sure that he can get out. And what I like here, and I think this was really a part of Derke's game throughout this entire map, was obviously, yeah, the plan is going to work. Obviously, he gets set up here for 3 kills, but he doesn't stay too long, right? He was using the Yoru, I think, in this game. You know, he gets out at the right time, right? He doesn't stick around too long. He gets out, he gets into this position, he plays it safe. And this is something that Derke, I think, in his first game, you know, there wasn't maybe opportunities to do this, or he wasn't doing it, and maybe he was overheating at times, you know, but in this game, I thought, you know, we saw for the most part, and there was still some moments, but for the most part, you know, he's not doing anything too crazy, and he's getting out when he needs to. In round number 4, they then had this really cool Yoru ult play.
Like I said, there was a chance to really dig a little deeper there.
Here.
Oh, speaking of ults though, Derke go and walk about. He's now noting where Logan's playing from. That was the downfall. Oh, and he's teed up Chronicle. Look at that. The hunting.
So this one is pretty basic, right? It's just a Yoru ult out of B. There's really, you know, not much else to it, to be honest. But we're going to see this play later on again, right? So it's an early KO knife here to check if anyone is out towards the window. And there isn't, so Chronicle now knows he can scale up alongside Derke as well. Now, Logan is going to make a mistake here, right? Because we see that Derke pings out where the cam is, and then it's going to get shot. Right, so Logan at this point, as soon as that camera is getting shot, he should know, like, you know, Chronicle is pretty far pushed up already. Right, so he's then going to drift back here and actually come into the crosshair of Derke as well. Now, whilst that's going on, they're actually going for this kind of mid-fight going on here also. Right, so we're kind of like fully crunching on mid here from kind of every side, with Derke as, you know, obviously in a position to then kind of, you know, flash for the team if needed and stuff like that. He also has his gate crash out here towards the window now that the KO knife has kind of told him that this is free as well. You know, he now has a position to TP back into that is safe, but also is, you know, still pushed up and has a lot of space. So it's a good start here by Fnatic, and we're going to see this idea later on play out in a bit of a different way that also finds some value, right? So just really good stuff. We actually see a Sova dart come down here as well from Leo just to help us scan out with this area. So really good start, and now they'll convert against Gentlemates.
Look at that, the hunting squad behind the ult, setting that emotion with real intent to shut it down. Now they can start to funnel in towards the site. It's not really looking to take this back, but it looks like Gentlemates do want to take a fight here, though. This isn't something they're willing to just instantly get the plant down for, but Derke in the back lines. Dispatching of Takas. And that spike yet to be planted. Bayaz drifting, trying to find a little bit of safety, but there isn't much safe here.
I was going to say, a weird stalemate here where actually there might be a chance for the spike to make its way all the way through the defender's spawn. A little bit of hesitation here, maybe. Chaotic in the comms.
No chance.
Bayaz is still here. He's found Derke. He's looking for a second, but going to get shut down here. Spike dropped. Whaler's left to try and recover this, and not much left to do.
Okay, now let's come into round number 8 here, and well, I just want to quickly talk about Boster, because again, this is just like a little thing of, we're going to end up not in position, because we come and put down the wall first, we're then going to throw an orb out here towards B, but then the round is like starting now, and you know, we've got Boster, he's still back in spawn here, so I don't know if this is a miscommunication or just something wrong, but he's actually going to use his Viper's Pit in this round, but he's a bit late to it, you know, he doesn't actually end up doing it until like 12 seconds into the round, so you know, don't really know why that was happening, but he goes for the Viper's Pit. We get Derke pushed up in mid here, and obviously one of the advantages of Yoru is that this angle is, you know, very available to a Yoru, where maybe it isn't for a Jet or something, right? Because you can actually TP far enough away to get out, whereas a Jet in this angle, you know, probably isn't getting out a lot of the time. Now let's talk about this Viper's Pit, because this pit to me, it's not my favorite, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, yes, it does stop a Hall's Lurk out here. The door is also open, so, you know, for later on in the round, if they do come to A, we've got the door open, we can kind of, you know, faster rotate and be in the fight a bit quicker, potentially. So there are some advantages to it. They do have the trip behind it here as well, but if you actually, and we can just look at Derke's POV, basically, because it tells us pretty well. You can kind of see it here. It doesn't really, like, stop people coming this way. You know, it's not, like, fully fleshed out into short here and into mid. You know, it's just kind of a bit there, right? So it's not my favorite pit. I think there's probably better ways to do it, but whatever, right? Anyway, Gentlemates, they're gonna make a bit of a mistake here as again, basically, you know, that they don't realize just how pushed up Derke is just here, and the orb is gonna drop just there. They don't turn around in time. Derke gets 2 kills. But what I want to show really in this round, what's important for this round, is what they're going to do later on, because again, we're gonna see some utility usage between Alpha and Leo, where everything is working, right? And it is reminiscent of like old Fnatic, where it's like, okay, everything is working. Alpha spots them, so Leo begins to rotate back, because initially he was coming towards B. The camera spots them, it gets destroyed, but now just take a look. This is like last year's Fnatic, for instance.
Derke punishes.
Standing ahead.
Off from Bears. We'll note Alpha's whereabouts roughly. But Hunter's Fury sent from afar. It's just a clean up here.
A couple rounds later, we then got the Yoru defensive ult part 2.
Around this man, but there's a lot of credit to be put to this. He's having a very good game. Now remember last time Derke went on this walk, he was backed up. He had the likes of Chronicle by his side, and look at the response from Fnatic. It is not just one. Alpha's out in middle. This is going to be a brawl and a half. Bloody hell, is this deathmatch here? Boster's out there finding the tank.
So it's pretty much the exact same play that we saw before. We're going to get the early KO knife out here from Chronicle, the ult right off the rip. Leo's again going to send this dart deep here as well. I don't know why the free cam observer there doesn't have a map. It doesn't make any sense, but you see again they catch Takas, and actually he starts taking some damage because Chronicle is shooting at him right here. Again, we got the TP into window, and obviously Derke starts seeing everyone, right? And again, we've got this push out of mid here as well, right? So it's a really nasty play, and then when Derke eventually ends up coming out of the ult here, right, it confuses them, right? Because obviously we hear that, so obviously they want to then react. You see these players start to react of where Derke is going to, and then Boster is actually the one who ends up getting the kill. And then this again is just like Derke playing well, right? Even though he hasn't been a part of the fight, he's essentially won them this fight, right? Just with the sound cues alone. So now he goes and TPs, right? This is good by Derke. This is kind of like, this is when Derke is playing well, right? He's not overheating and just staying here and, you know, taking a 4v1 essentially, right? He gets back into a position, and now you're gonna see that because of these, you know, deep positions that they've taken up, you know, Gentlemates aren't ready for it, and now they get kills from these kind of positions as well.
Boster's out there finding the tank. Derke looking to maybe back away from here.
I love this though, even just the sound cue to make a couple members of Gentlemates turn. We'll give Boster a freebie here from double doors. Now that's the paranoia, right? You're clearing all the way back through your own spawn, basically. We'll explore towards beach. Derke still a nuisance. Dips his toes and gets out. Chronicle to double down as well.
And again, in that clip, you saw Derke not overstaying his welcome. He gets another kill, and he's getting out again to safety. And this, if Fnatic play like this, are going to be really, really hard to beat. But whilst there was a lot of good in this game, there were some moments that gave you a little bit of pause. And let me just show you some of them, because, for instance, in this round, Fnatic, they're on the attack side now. It's 12-5. They are on an eco, so it's not like the end of the world that they lose this round, but just the way they go about losing the round, I don't think it's a very good round from them, to be honest. We'll see that, because, you know, eventually here, in just a second, they're going to come and run a fake towards B. And for me, just with the comp that they've got and the tools that they could use for this this is like a very basic version of it, right? This is like a very 2021 almost round. So what's going to happen here in just a second is you're going to get Chronicle throwing a KO knife in just a second, and Boster also throws out both snake bites, right? So, okay, we've got, you know, both snake bite lineups coming up from here. We got a KO knife lineup coming in from here as well. And now they're going to put down the Viper wall as well. And this is part of our fake, right? Whilst we're walking into A main. And this is fine, right? And now Chronicle is going to go, and his KO knife is going to suppress the Cypher. And, you know, in he comes. So, oh, we suppress the Cypher. That's good for us, right? We start throwing flashes. You know, Chronicle's going to shoot a few bullets there. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, we're here. We're coming to B. And you'll see that the reaction from Gentlemates is initially like, oh, you know, away they go. Now, Chronicle is basically starting that fake. You know, it's basically happening a couple seconds before this. So, like 103, something like that. But you'll just see that, like, you know, as Gentlemates are starting to move out this way, right? They then figure it out that, you know, like enough time passes that they figure out, like, oh, there's no one here, right? So now they're starting to rotate back across again as well, and now Fnatic are starting. But they're starting this a good like 10 seconds after, you know, the fake was kind of being ran. So actually Beaz is able to get back into position just here. Now the thing that annoys about me, you know, because this is the kind of thing that I love big fakes. It's just kind of my favorite kind of round. But with the comp that they've got, there's just more that you could do with this fake that wouldn't really cost you too much, but also sell it much harder, right? Like fake Yoru clone, you know, just putting a Yoru clone down here and sending it into B. I mean, especially if there's a trip across here that Yoru clone can reveal to you, and that, you know, you can potentially break it. Also makes an audio cue, right? It's just like an obvious thing to add into a fake. Also, your Yoru can be here as well, right? So you can have multiple people shooting here, right? If Derke's there as well, and he can be flashing and stuff, and then just TP back to A. Right, he can just do that, and again, that's like, you will have added noise in there, you will have added extra people in there as a big part of your fake, and then you can just come A all the same, right? It doesn't really cost you anything. I mean, if you were really galaxy bringing it, you could even have a Sova lineup, you know, all the way across the map. Like, that is something that you could add in as well. It's something that I have always wanted to see teams do with, you know, kind of cross the map Sova lineups as well, but they don't. But then what they decide to do instead, in fact, if I come back just a couple frames, you see there's a Sova dart here on A. Right, so this exec that they're now going for, you know, normally you might think like, oh, let's just contact in, right? We're trying to run this fake. Let's contact in, you know, because they won't think that we're here, right? But they don't. Instead, they do dart in, and the tank destroys the dart, which makes the next thing even kind of weirder, because, well, Alfie is going to die throwing out a cage because Beaz is back here, right? So Beaz is now on the stairs. Alfie is trying to throw a cage. He dies because of that. Right, Leo is now droning. Derke TP's in with the spike. He knows that, or he should know that someone is on the site, because, you know, they very quickly destroyed this dart. So he should know that someone is probably back here. Maybe he thinks that Beaz is the one that's destroyed it. It's possible. But, you know, he's just TPing in on the spike, and he's kind of ahead of the drone as well, right? So the drone isn't coming this way. The tank gets that kill as well. Maybe they just believe their own fake a bit too much. Then Leo is going to ult as well off the ping of Beaz. He's trying to save a lost round. And the tank's just going to end up killing Boster, and they're pushing into Leo and killing him as well. And Chronicle is left alone. There's just, you know, this round, I mean, look, the reason I'm pulling out this round is because I like big fakes. And that's just, you know, so when I see a fake run and I'm like, oh, that didn't look great, it just kind of pains me because it's my favorite kind of round. But you know, you saw there's just like parts to that just maybe weren't the best that they could have been. And then if we actually come to the last round of this map as well, we're going to see a situation where it's this. Fnatic have planted the spike on A. They have multiple lurks here on, you know, coming around as well that are going to find kills for them. They're going to end up in a 4v2. And the thing is, they're almost going to lose this 4v2 because they make some not great decisions. And this is something that actually happened on Lotus as well, where they either lost a round or almost lost a round in, you know, pretty advantageous situations because they're just taking, you know, solo fights and stuff like that, and it's just not great.
And Fnatic with 4 standing now gets into the post plant. Alpha's position can be dirty. Look at these potential flanks, yeah. You've got to keep in mind Boster as well. There's layers to this. The pressure through middle is the tank and Beaz to try and keep hope alive in the flash. I mean, the tank still somehow comes out of that, and Beaz digs his heels in. They are not letting this round go, but it's still Leo alive.
It's not great for him. He has to get out now off the tap.
But here we go. Choices. What do you do? Beaz now halfway achieved. Who's going to diff who here? Beaz down a half, and he's been put to bed.
Well, yeah, they're able to win the round because Leo's able to clutch out a 1v2, but for the position that they were in a solid 4v2, we never really should have got to that point. right? As everyone's just taking solo fights. And so whilst there was a lot of good for Fnatic in this game, and it was definitely better than they've shown previously, and it seems like they're getting there each step of the way, there are still definitely moments where you're like, ooh, I don't know about that. Ooh, that's not the best thing that they could have done. And, if they don't learn from those kind of things, then, they will continue, maybe, especially against better teams, to potentially struggle.